Well, I've put this off long enough. My top 5 worst pregnancy movies ever made. Like I said before, and when I did the best pregnancy movies ever made, you might have your own list of the worst or the best, and feel free to mention those if you want to, or even disagree. But for what it's worth, these are my top 5 of the worst pregnancy movies ever made. Also, instead of like last time where I did the 5 best in one video, we're going to do the 5 worst one at a time, just so we can spend a little more time on why each one is so horrible. And we begin with She's Having a Baby, made in 1988, starring Kevin Bacon. He was in a lot of movies in the 80s because of Footloose, I think. Don't ask me why. But anyway, we get to why this pregnancy movie did not work out. Well, let me tell you first off why it didn't. There are no pregnant belly scenes in this film. Oh, there's a little bit, like that one right there. And there's a small 3-second clip of a bare belly. 3 seconds. But it's not hers. It belongs to somebody else. And it's so quickly gone that if you blink, you would miss it. That's it for the scenes. And I don't even consider that a scene. This movie is indicative of the problems of pregnancy movies that were made throughout the 80s and most of the 90s. And that is the fact that it was considered an immortal sin to ever show a woman pregnant. Even if your movie is about she's having a baby. And it's a mystery to me why these movies that involved pregnancy throughout this decade, throughout the 90s, and even sometimes now, although it's not quite as bad as it was back then, were determined not to show any pregnancy. People, of course, in our community will understand that it was, for the most part, in many, many decades, taboo. For instance, in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, etc., you could not even say the word pregnant on TV or in movies. The reason? I can only speculate. I guess the word pregnant might involve mentioning she had sex with somebody. You don't want to mention that. It's dirty. That's the only thing I can think of, but maybe they were just afraid of people's reactions and they didn't know what would happen if they mentioned that word on television or movies. Maybe they were afraid if they said the word pregnant in TV or in film, it might drive people to have babies. And you don't want that. I don't know. Anyway, this movie, She's Having a Baby, sucks. Oh, it's got good acting in it, from what I can remember of it. And I know that it's from a time when they just didn't show women pregnant. So you can't be expecting much. However, I can't help but mention, since this movie is made in 1988, there was another little movie, an independent little movie, that was also made that same year, called Ginger Ale Afternoon. And it had a real pregnant woman in a bikini throughout the entire film. So, it's not all about the decade. It just seems to be certain films, meaning 99% of them made throughout the 80s and 90s, had a hard time showing any kind of pregnancy on their films. And it boggles my mind every time, especially when this year comes up, 1988, because I know that was the year Ginger Ale Afternoon came out. I know it was a small independent film, bad acting, it didn't get a lot of publicity. Most people still don't know about it outside of our circles. But still, I can't help think about this movie and contrasting that with Ginger Ale Afternoon. It just goes to show you, if they could only make a movie like Ginger Ale Afternoon, with a bigger budget, better actors, better acting, anything, it could be so successful. And it would be successful. I believe that whether people were pregnancy lovers or not, that movie would have had a big audience and it would have been a big hit. But I'm getting off the subject. When it comes to She's Having a Baby, they might as well have named it She Might Be Having a Baby, because we won't show it to you. Most of this film, throughout, not even half of it, but more than half, there is no pregnancy whatsoever. The few scenes where she is showing are there only for a few seconds, and they're at the very end of the film. Not really worth all that just to see a few scenes that are not really that good anyway. So when it came to this movie about a woman and this man, this couple, this newlywed couple having a baby, there's practically no pregnancy in it whatsoever. In fact, there's really nothing in it whatsoever. It's not the absolute worst, but it is one of the worst. And it's why it comes at number 5 on my list of the top 5 worst pregnancy movies ever made. So if you ever go into your video store, if their video store is still around, or you find this around the internet on Netflix or something, be sure to skip it. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. You will not see anything pregnancy related in this film. Forget it. Run away from it. Now, we'll be reviewing other movies that are far worse than this, believe it or not, when it comes to pregnancy content. So, when they come out, just remember to brace yourself for the pain. Well, that's all for now, everybody. We will see you next time. Oh man, this hurt real bad, I tell you.